Welcome to the AI Coach by Anil Nathu. For years, we've talked about AI as a co-pilot, a helpful assistant that augments what we do. But imagine if AI could not just suggest the path, but actually take the wheel, navigating complex challenges, achieving goals, all on its own. That's the revolutionary shift we're exploring today, the era of agentic AI and this future. It isn't just some distant dream. It's playing out right now. We're talking months, not years. That's according to a really compelling paper from KPMG. It just came out June 2025, titled The Agentic AI Advantage, Unlocking the Next Level of AI Value.
Absolutely. And our mission today really is to truly unpack what agentic AI means. What incredible new capabilities does it actually enable for businesses? And crucially, how can organizations like yours strategically prepare for this incredibly rapid shift? Because it is rapid, we're going to be extracting the most important nuggets of knowledge, the real insights, directly from KPMG's extensive research. And this isn't just academic stuff. It's all grounded in their deep, real-world experience. They're working with clients on the very front lines of this transformation. So think of this as your shortcut, your guide to understanding the strategic imperative of agentic AI.
And when KPMG says rapid, they really mean it, don't they? They state very clearly that this change is playing out in months, which is, well, it's a stark contrast to something like cloud adoption. That took almost 2 decades to become, ubiquitous. So this isn't just another tech conversation for the IT department. Not at all. It's a fundamental leadership challenge, a big one. It demands tighter alignment, a shared vision between business leaders and technology teams, tighter than maybe anything we've seen before. It's really a call to action for the C-suite.
Precisely. And as these AI agents gain more autonomy, 2 critical areas become absolutely paramount, non-negotiable really. First, building robust trust in these systems. And second, comprehensive people preparation. Organizations must ensure that these systems operate reliably, transparently, and always within clear, defined guardrails. That's baseline. But equally important is preparing your workforce, helping them understand how to adapt to new roles, how to collaborate seamlessly with these new digital coworkers, and importantly, how to embrace the cultural shift this transformation demands. Because without that foundation of trust and without a prepared workforce, the full transformative potential of agentic AI, it simply cannot be realized.
Okay, so what can you, our listeners, expect from this deep dive today? We're going to start by clearly defining what an AI agent actually is. Get past the buzzwords, the hype. Then we'll dive into the immense business value it promises. Real, quantifiable benefits that are already turning heads. We'll explore the different types of agents using KPMG's fascinating TACO framework. Yes, TACO. That's taskers, automators, collaborators, and orchestrators. It actually offers a remarkably clear lens for understanding these different agent types. And finally, we'll lay out practical, actionable steps for adoption. We'll culminate in a clear, phased action plan for you to take back to your organization. Think of it as a journey into the heart of the next AI revolution. All right, let's kick things off by tackling a term that's just buzzing everywhere: AI agent. It feels like you can't open a tech publication or attend a conference without hearing about them. But what does AI agent actually mean in a meaningful, precise way? Because as KPMG points out right at the top of their paper, with all the hype, it's easy to lose focus. And frankly, a lot of things are being called agents that, well, they simply aren't.
That's such a crucial distinction we need to make right up front. KPMG really cuts through the noise with a very precise definition. They state that AI agents are digital tools that fulfill organizational goals by taking meaningful, independent action. Now, the key words there are meaningful, independent action.
Yeah.
Crucially, they're not just providing information or recommendations, they're acting on behalf of the organization. And what makes them so powerful, so different, is their ability to blend advanced AI reasoning, like what we see in large language models, LLMs with sophisticated planning, access to deep knowledge, and the ability to use various tools. So it's not merely a smart chatbot, it's way beyond that. It's a sophisticated executor designed specifically to achieve business outcomes.
Okay, so it's not just about the large language model itself, which is what many of us, tend to think of when we hear AI.
Yeah.
It's about how that LLM is integrated with other components, planning, tools, knowledge, to actually do things.
Yeah.
It sounds like a complex symphony of capabilities working together.
Precisely. A symphony is a good way to put it. And let's elaborate on those key characteristics that define a true AI agent. They are designed to make real-time decisions and adapt to new situations as they arise. This means they aren't rigid, pre-programmed scripts that just follow one specific path. No. Instead, they learn from their interactions and feedback. They get better over time. They continuously refine their approach to a task or a goal. They also possess the ability to ingest and process both structured data, like, what you'd find in a spreadsheet or a customer database, and unstructured data, things like text documents, emails, maybe even transcribed customer conversations. This versatility allows them to operate across an incredibly wide array of business scenarios, makes them highly adaptable. And as KPMG highlights, the potential applications range. Well, it's a huge range. From basic task-oriented agents that can extract and compare data against standards, think an agent just checking invoices against rules. Simple but valuable. All the way up to end-to-end automation agents that could disrupt entire organizational value chains, completely rethinking how a business operates from start to finish. This wide spectrum really underscores the profound impact they are set to have.
That's a huge spectrum of capabilities, from simple validation to disrupting whole value chains. Let's make sure we clearly contrast this with what most people are familiar with right now, generative AI, or Gen AI. Gen AI has been a game changer, absolutely, no doubt about it, but it primarily builds what you might call digital assistants, right? These assistants augment humans. They provide information, they draft content, offer guidance. Think of it as a superpowered research assistant, or maybe a creative partner. But it's still largely human in the loop, isn't it? The human makes the final call, takes the action.
That's the fundamental distinction. And it's absolutely critical for understanding the leap Agentic AI represents. While Gen AI provides insights, helps humans make better, faster decisions by augmenting their capabilities, Agentic AI, as KPMG puts it, can fully automate what humans do by taking actions on their behalf in pursuit of prescribed business outcomes. This is a monumental leap, from assistance to direct action. And it's important to note, agents may use Gen AI tools as part of their broader toolkit. It's not either-or. For instance, an agent trying to resolve a complex customer issue might use a Gen AI model to draft a personalized response. But the agent itself is responsible for actually sending that response, maybe updating the CRM system, your customer relationship management system, and perhaps even scheduling a follow-up call or task. It's the automation of the action, the independent decision-making to achieve a goal that truly defines the agent.
Right. So if Gen AI is augmenting and Agentic AI is automating actions, the value potential must be significantly different. It sounds like the impact on business outcomes has to be on an entirely different scale altogether.
Absolutely. On a completely different level, KPMG states explicitly that Agentic AI promises significantly more business value. Why? Because it moves beyond mere augmentation to the full automation of actions. Think about the swivel chair approach we often see with Gen AI. Where a human has to leave their primary workflow, go to a separate Gen AI tool, get some information, then copy, paste, or bring it back into their main workflow. Agentic AI, by contrast, is designed to be embedded directly into those workflows seamlessly. It takes the action within the workflow, it reduces friction, and it dramatically increases the scope and scale of automation possible. This directly translates to far greater efficiencies, substantial cost savings, and it opens up entirely new ways of operating that were previously, frankly, impossible. This fundamental shift is what we're really diving into today. It's huge.
That brings us perfectly to our next section, because this isn't just theory, is it? Not anymore. The era of Agentic AI has already begun. It's here. And the value at stake, it's truly tremendous. KPMG's Q1 2025 AI Pulse Survey gives us a fascinating snapshot of the current state of adoption. And the numbers are quite striking. They show just how quickly this is all evolving.
They are indeed eye-opening. The survey reveals a really accelerating pace of adoption within enterprises. As of Q1 2025, a significant 65% of companies are already piloting AI agents. 65%. Now, this represents a huge jump from just the previous quarter, when that number stood at only 37%.
Wait, that's almost double in 3 months.
Exactly. It underscores the incredible urgency and interest in this technology right now. Now, while the intent to adopt is extremely high, a remarkable 99% of companies say they plan to put agents into production. Only 11% have actually done so already, at scale, in production. So what does this tell us? It indicates that while exploration, experimentation, proof of concept, that's widespread, everyone's trying it out, but truly integrating and scaling these agents into core production-level operations, that's still the next big hurdle for most organizations. It's the transition from testing the waters to diving in fully, and that's where the real work begins.
And it's not just the adoption rate that's astonishing, it's the sheer pace of capability growth we're witnessing. This isn't some slow, steady, linear progression we're talking about, is it? It feels far more explosive.
Far from linear. It's exponential, truly exponential. The growth rate of agent capabilities is, frankly, astonishing. KPMG reports they are doubling every 3 to 7 months. Let that sink in. Doubling! To put that into perspective, consider the coding example they provide in the paper. Agent capabilities have grown from handling tasks that take humans maybe seconds to complete to automating hour-long tasks.
From seconds to hours.
Yes. Think about that for a moment, from automating tiny, almost trivial tasks to taking on significant chunks of complex human work. And this happened in a very short span of time. The implications are profound. If this exponential growth continues at the current rate, and there's no reason to think it won't, agents could be 4 times more capable in 6 months and 16 times more powerful in a year.
16 times.
16 times. This isn't just about automating individual tasks anymore. This isn't RPA++, say. This trajectory will inevitably lead to the automation of entire human roles. It's creating an entirely new talent pool of what KPMG refers to as digital coworkers. We're talking about a completely redefined workforce landscape. It's transformative.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me, and I think for our listeners too. Because the collaboration potential seems mind-boggling. We're not just talking about one agent doing one thing in isolation anymore, are we? We're talking about them working together, like a real digital team.
Exactly. That's where the true power multiplication comes in, the synergy. Agents are increasingly capable of communicating and collaborating with each other, which further amplifies their business utility and their strategic impact, exponentially again. KPMG introduces this concept of swarms. Think of self-synchronized, efficient, and highly effective teams of agents. Now, imagine these swarms, comprised of agents with different specialized skills. Maybe one's good at data analysis, another at communication, another at process execution. Imagine them eventually automating entire business processes end to end. This could mean a really complex series of tasks across different departments, like a sophisticated customer onboarding process or a complex global supply chain operation, all handled entirely by a coordinated group, a swarm of AI agents. But what's even more profound, maybe the most profound part, is that once automated, these agent swarms can potentially autonomously re-engineer and continuously improve these processes.
So they optimize themselves.
They optimize themselves continuously. This multi-layered approach unlocks entirely new levels of operational performance, and it opens the aperture for reimagining entire business models, fundamentally changing how value is created and delivered. However, and this is a big However, it's absolutely critical to remember that with this increased autonomy and complexity, the risks are also higher. These risks must be carefully, proactively managed to ensure this tremendous value is unlocked safely and securely. Trust is paramount.
So the ultimate vision here, the end game maybe, is of a truly hybrid organization, where humans and AI aren't just coexisting in the same building, but collaborating seamlessly in a way that truly transforms the very nature of the workforce.
That's precisely KPMG's prediction for the future of the enterprise. It's a hybrid future. They foresee that most companies will eventually transform into hybrid organizations where both humans and AI agents collaborate seamlessly. Now, the number of these digital workers might start small, maybe just a few pilots, but they possess an incredible ability to grow rapidly and flex up or down with demand almost instantly. That offers unparalleled agility, something human workforces struggle with. This profound shift will allow human workers to focus their time, their energy, the uniquely human talents on the most productive, complex, and stimulating tasks, leaving the repetitive, the data-intensive, or the highly structured work to the agents. It fundamentally redefines what productive work looks like, pushing humans into higher-order thinking, creative endeavors, strategic problem-solving, empathy, the things machines can't easily replicate. And this vision, in fact, aligns beautifully with the forward-thinking approach of AI Coach by Anil Mathur, which consistently emphasizes maximizing that human-AI synergy, empowering human potential through intelligent automation, not replacing it.
And when we talk about value, it's not just about making things faster or more efficient, is it? It's about massive economic impact, real dollars and cents. Let's quantify the size of the prize here. Let's look at these market projections. They are, frankly, staggering. These are the numbers that will get any executive's attention.
The numbers are indeed astonishing. They really underscore the immense opportunity here. KPMG estimates that agentic AI is key to unlocking a staggering $3 trillion in corporate productivity improvements annually. Trillion, with a T, annually. And this isn't just a broad guess, like I said. This figure is based on their proprietary research. They analyzed the impact of AI on more than 17 million companies globally. It's a huge data set. Now, to further contextualize this, make it more tangible, they anticipate that agentic AI can unlock at least 5% of EBITDA annually in labor productivity alone for the average Fortune 1000 company. And EBITDA, for those perhaps less familiar, stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It's a key measure of a company's operational profitability, its core health. So we're talking about a significant direct boost to the bottom line, not just marginal gains. 5% is huge. And this finding is also echoed by many independent industry analysts. It's not just KPMG saying this. For instance, a recent study from IDC highlights that organizations adopting agentic AI can achieve an 18% improvement in employee productivity and satisfaction. So the benefits extend beyond just financial metrics. Happier, more productive employees, too.
Okay, productivity, satisfaction, bottom line impact. What about the direct financial returns on investment, the ROI? What can companies realistically expect if they commit to this technology if they invest?
The projections continue to be very bullish on direct ROI, very positive. Analysts are predicting a $50 billion in market value, specifically for agentic AI solutions and platforms. And when it comes to return on investment, that IDC research I mentioned finds that for every $1 a company invests in AI, it can realize an average of $3.50 in return. That's a 3.5x return. Pretty good.
That's already impressive.
It is. But what's even more compelling is that the top 5% of organizations worldwide, these are leaders, the early aggressive leaders, they are realizing an even higher average return. Get this, $8 in return for every single dollar invested.
$8 back for every $1 in.
$8 back. These are not small numbers. These are significant multiples. And they emphatically underscore the immense financial incentive for early and strategic adoption of agentic AI. It's a clear signal that this isn't just some technological fad. It's not hype. It's a fundamental shift in how businesses will generate value and compete in the very near future.
That's an incredibly powerful argument for investment and, more importantly, for action now. And how exactly does KPMG arrive at these figures, especially when assessing the addressable opportunity for agentic AI? What's the methodology behind such massive, almost unbelievable projections like $3 trillion?
Right. It's important to understand the rigor behind the numbers. KPMG uses what they call their patent-pending Gen AI value assessment model. It's a sophisticated analytical framework. They undertook a massive, incredibly granular study. They built the equivalent of an organizational digital twin for over 17 million companies globally, leveraging more than 3 billion data points to understand their operations, their structures, their roles. Now, for the purpose of quantifying the specific impact of agentic AI, they zoomed in. They focused on a subset of 7,000 public companies within that larger sample. These companies collectively employ over 72 million workers across about 2,000 different defined roles, and they have an average revenue of around $7.5 billion. So large, complex organizations. They then meticulously graded the complexity of tasks exposed to AI. They categorized them into low, medium, or high complexity using their internal AI models to help with this grading. And this grading was based on factors like the degree of reasoning required, the level of human interaction needed, the multi-step dependencies involved for each task. Crucially, their analysis showed that agentic AI is uniquely positioned to unlock value in those high-complexity tasks. Okay. These are the tasks that were previously considered too nuanced, too intricate, or too dependent on human judgment for traditional automation. This methodical and data-driven approach gives us a tangible, quantifiable sense of the significant impact agentic AI can have on enterprise value. It shows how it moves beyond simple task automation to truly transforming complex operations and decision-making.
Okay, so this isn't just about hypothetical benefits or staggering macro numbers anymore. Let's shift our focus now to the practical applications, the so what for you listening. You might be asking yourself, why should I care about this beyond the big numbers? How can my organization directly benefit? CAFID. Well, KPMG has identified 4 significant, tangible ways AI agents can unlock enterprise value. And these really get to the heart of how your organization can directly benefit in a highly practical sense, starting today.
Exactly. These 4 areas truly illuminate the unique disruptive advantages of agentic AI. They show how it moves beyond what we've traditionally seen with automation or even basic Gen AI. The first way agents unlock value is simple but profound. Agents don't sleep. Unlike human employees who work within set hours, need breaks, sleep, adhere to maybe a 40-hour work week, agents, once they've automated a set of tasks, can be instructed to run around the clock every day, 24/7, 365. As long as there's energy, data, and importantly, appropriate human supervision available, this dramatically boosts productivity in a way human labor simply cannot match. It's basic math. For example, just by doing the same work for 24 hours instead of a typical 8-hour human workday, an organization can improve daily productivity by 3x. And when you have multiple agents working simultaneously, remember that digital team or swarm concept, the effect is compounded, it multiplies. KPMG suggests that if an agentic team can do the same work in, say, 1/3 of the time it takes humans, then the organization can deliver 9 times more work per 24-hour day.
9 times. That's incredible leverage. So no more coffee breaks, or is it Friday yet for these digital coworkers, huh?
Exactly. They're the ultimate 24/7 workforce, tirelessly optimizing, constantly working towards their goal. This continuous operation also makes the organization far more agile, much more responsive. It allows it to react rapidly to trends, shifts in market demand, or unexpected disruptions. Things that might occur during off hours, weekends, holidays, when human teams are typically offline or scaled back. A prime example given in the KPMG report is in manufacturing. Agents can manage production lines by continuously optimizing schedules and workflows. They can perform predictive maintenance analysis constantly, looking for signals to reduce costly downtime before it happens. Furthermore, imagine if unexpected supply disruptions occur, a ship gets stuck, a supplier has an issue. Procurement agents can instantly find alternative suppliers based on predefined criteria, while production agents automatically reconfigure schedules on the factory floor to adapt, all in real time. This round-the-clock capability provides a sustained, tangible competitive advantage in a globalized, always-on economy.
That's a powerful vision. Constant optimization, constant responsiveness. It changes the game. What's the second significant way they unlock value for organizations?
The second way is that agents widen the aperture for automation. This is really about expanding the very definition of what's automatable in the first place. As agents become exponentially more capable, remember that, doubling every few months? In their reasoning, their planning, their ability to collaborate, they can automate tasks, entire roles, and even complex processes that were previously considered, well, off limits. Things thought too complex, too nuanced, or too dependent on human judgment. Things only performed by humans. So this isn't just about replacing rote, simple tasks anymore. That's old news. It's about taking on activities requiring judgment, creative problem solving, or multi-step coordination across disparate systems. Higher order work. The benefit here is twofold, really. First, it dramatically expands the share of work that can be freed up for human talent, allowing people to focus on higher value, more creative, or strategic endeavors that truly leverage unique human strength, like empathy, complex negotiation, ethical judgment. Second, it increases the inherent effectiveness of the work itself over time, because once automated, agents can be instructed to continuously strive to optimize their interactions toward a specified goal.
Yeah.
This means they don't just execute a static process, they learn and improve. They get better. They're constantly seeking the most efficient and effective path to achieve their objectives, which is something humans, frankly, often struggle to do consistently at scale, especially across complex processes.
Okay, so it's not just automating what we already know we can automate. It's fundamentally expanding the very scope of what's possible to automate in the first place. That's a big shift. And the third way, agents unlock value. This one sounds intriguing.
The third is that agents convert knowledge into action. Now think about this. While generative AI, tools like ChatGPT, can significantly enhance productivity by providing information, summarizing documents, generating insights, the potential value from agentic AI can be much, much greater. Why? Precisely because of its ability to convert knowledge into coordinated action. It's one thing to know something, to have the data, the insight. It's quite another thing to act on it intelligently, effectively, and at scale across the organization. As organizations deploy multiple agents, they need to feed them the right knowledge, the right context to drive the most effective outcomes. And this necessitates, as KPMG puts it, systematically capturing and structuring the tacit expertise that typically resides only in employees' minds.
Tacit expertise, you mean the unwritten stuff, the experience, the intuition?
Exactly, that unwritten knowledge, the experience, judgment, the how we do things here, best practices that aren't usually documented in any process manual. This tacit knowledge, once codified, once made explicit, becomes available for the agent's use. It fuels their intelligence. And this is where a strategic approach, like that emphasized by AI Coach by Anil Nathu, becomes absolutely critical. It's about turning that hidden organizational knowledge into an actionable asset.
That really moves beyond just data analysis or reporting, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like proactive problem solving, maybe even automated decision support based on deep knowledge. Can you give us a concrete example of this knowledge to action conversion? Make it real for us.
A really compelling example from the KPMG report is in retail store performance audits. Imagine a large retail chain, hundreds, maybe thousands of stores. Manual audits are slow, expensive, infrequent. You only get snapshots. With agentic AI, you could have audit agents continuously monitor store operations data, customer feedback from surveys or social media, and store sales figures. In real time, across all locations, these agents can instantly flag compliance issues. Maybe a store isn't following procedure or performance anomalies, like a sudden dip in sales for a specific product category. But here's the powerful part, the knowledge to action piece. Simultaneously, these agents automatically generate corrective action recommendations for regional managers.
So they don't just find the problem, they suggest the fix.
Exactly. It's not just flagging an issue and leaving it there. It's suggesting the solution, maybe drafting the communication to the store manager, perhaps even initiating internal workflows to implement that solution, like ordering more stock or scheduling retraining. It turns insight into immediate, actionable intelligence at scale. This proactive, intelligent response capability is a complete game changer for managing complex, distributed operations.
That's a significant leap from just reporting problems after the fact. Wow. And finally, the fourth profound way agents unlock value. What's the last piece of this puzzle?
The fourth profound advantage is that agents are wired for change. This is perhaps one of the most strategic benefits in today's incredibly dynamic, constantly shifting business landscape. Agility is everything. Once a process has been automated by a swarm of agents, that collaborative digital team we discussed earlier, it also becomes significantly easier and faster to adapt this workflow to ever-changing circumstances over time. Compared to retraining hundreds of humans, this is a critical advantage for organizational agility and resilience. Think about it. Agents are trained and motivated to deliver specific outcomes based on goals. They don't need detailed step-by-step instructions on how to proceed, especially the more advanced ones. Nor do they need weeks of time away from delivery to get retrained on a new policy or system. And unlike human employees sometimes, agents are not threatened by change. They don't resist it. Nor are they reluctant to collaborate with other agents or systems. They're designed for it. Hence, they require much less traditional change management effort. The agentic workflow can iterate faster, it can accommodate experimentation more easily. It can get to an optimal outcome much quicker, all within the predefined guardrails of their instructions and ethical boundaries. This can be a critical advantage in, for example, financial services. KPMG mentions month-end close agents identify anomalies and prepare journal entries, significantly reducing close cycles. We saw that with Automators. At the same time, maybe vouching agents automatically cross-reference invoices against contracts, purchase orders, and receipts, flagging discrepancies without manual review. But the real power comes in their inherent adaptability. If reporting policies change due to new regulations, or the organizational structure gets reshuffled, or lists of preferred customers and suppliers are updated, the agentic system can potentially automatically adjust the end-to-end process without extensive human intervention or recoding, ensuring continuous compliance and efficiency even as the ground shifts beneath them. This agility means businesses can pivot faster, respond to market shifts quicker, and ultimately stay ahead of the competition.
Okay, so we've explored the immense value proposition, 24/7 operation, wider automation scope, knowledge into action, and wired for change. That's compelling. Now, what does this all mean for you listening? How do you decide where to start? How do you choose the right type of agent for the right job in your organization? Well, KPMG has developed a fascinating and actually quite memorable framework to help organizations make sense of all this. It helps classify the different types of AI agents and match them to specific business needs. They call it the KPMG TACO Framework. Yes, TACO.
Huh? Yes, the KPMG TACO Framework. It's memorable but also incredibly useful. It stands for Taskers, Automators, Collaborators, and Orchestrators. It's essentially a classification system that helps organizations navigate the evolving landscape of agentic AI. It provides a clear progression of capabilities from simple to highly complex. Its primary purpose is to help businesses classify and then effectively leverage agentic AI by matching their specific business requirements with the appropriate level of agent sophistication. So you don't use a sledgehammer to crack a nut or vice versa. It moves logically from simple task execution all the way up to complex, potentially ecosystem-wide coordination.
And what defines these different levels of sophistication? What makes a collaborator different from a tasker, technologically speaking? Is it entirely different technology powering each category, or is there some common thread running through them?
That's a great question, and KPMG provides important clarity here. It's not entirely separate silos. Across all four TACO categories, there's actually consistency in the core computational components. The building blocks are similar. They all rely on foundational models like LLMs for reasoning. They all need sophisticated knowledge representation systems to understand context. They need contextual processing capabilities, memory architectures to retain information over time, short-term and long-term. And they all need tool integration frameworks to interact with the outside world, other software, APIs, data sources. One critical tool integration framework they specifically mention is the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. We'll touch on that more. Think of MCP as an emerging standard, like a universal adapter. It allows these agents to seamlessly connect to external information sources and tools in real time. This makes them much more context-aware and capable without requiring complex, brittle, custom integrations for every single new data source or tool. That's key for scalability. So the key distinctions across the TACO framework, they lie in the increasing complexity of the goals these agents can fulfill. And correspondingly, they're more sophisticated planning and orchestration capabilities needed to achieve those bigger goals. This progressive framework provides a really methodical approach for adoption. You can start simple and grow. Organizations also need to prepare for how these agents will collaborate and communicate with each other, especially as you deploy more of them. Industry leaders are already starting to align on standardized protocols for this interagent communication. And crucially, KPMG stresses that having a centralized AI factory, a dedicated internal capability, is critical, especially for organizations that want to build their own customized agents rather than relying solely on off-the-shelf products. This ensures consistency, reusability, governance, and scalability in your agent development.
That makes perfect sense. A common foundation. But increasing sophistication in goals and orchestration. Okay, let's dive into each TACO category then. Let's start with the simplest, the base layer. Taskers. What defines them?
Right, taskers are at the foundational level of agentic AI, the entry point for many. They are designed to execute well-defined singular goals that feature repetitive tasks and minimal complexity. Think of them as highly efficient, highly reliable digital workers specifically for routine, structured activities, high volume, low variation. They require, as KPMG puts it, guidance on what needs to be achieved rather than how to achieve it. In essence, you tell them what the goal is, validate this invoice against these rules, and they figure out the most efficient how within a very specific, narrow domain. A human in the loop typically provides detailed instructions or parameters for these goals, essentially outlining the precise steps or criteria the agent must execute against. So the human is still very much directing the specific task, setting the boundaries. But the agent handles the actual execution with speed, accuracy, and tireless repetition.
Okay, clear goal, minimal complexity, human provides the detailed instructions. Very focused. Can you give us some concrete examples of what a tasker might actually do in a real business context? Where would you see them first?
Certainly. These are often the first entry points for agentic AI, precisely because they're straightforward to implement and can show immediate impact on efficiency. Let's look at a few examples. 1. In customer service. A tasker could automatically categorize incoming support tickets based on keywords, maybe sentiment analysis, or assign priority level, and then assign them to the right human team or maybe route them to another, more specialized agent. Simple routing and categorization. 2. For vendor due diligence. Imagine needing to check potential suppliers against various watch lists. A tasker could screen thousands of vendor names against global sanction lists, internal blacklists, or other compliance databases in seconds. Flagging any potential issues for human review, a task that would take a compliance team days or weeks manually. 3. In invoice validation. A tasker could extract specific data points from an incoming invoice vendor name, invoice number, amount, date, line items, and automatically verify them against a corresponding purchase order or against predefined compliance rules set by your finance department, catching errors early. 4. For legal affairs. Think about all the past legal documents a firm has. A tasker might convert past legal rulings, contracts, or case files from various unstructured formats like PDFs or Word docs into a standardized, structured, searchable digital format, making legal research far more efficient and effective. 5. And in administrative functions, everyone loves expense reports, right? A tasker could review employee expense reports automatically, checking for compliance with company policy, ensuring necessary receipts are attached, flagging out of policy items, automating the tedious but critical compliance check. You see the pattern. These are all about automating discrete, well-defined, often high-volume tasks where accuracy and consistency are key.
Got it. Focused, repetitive, rule-based. That makes sense for taskers. Moving up the complexity ladder now, we get to the automators. How do they differ from taskers? It sounds like they take on significantly more responsibility.
Automators are indeed a significant step up, both in terms of sophistication and the scope of what they handle. They're designed to deconstruct more complex goals and manage tasks that span multi-system workflows. This means they can orchestrate activities across multiple different applications, legacy systems, databases, APIs, potentially across functional areas too. Now, unlike taskers that typically follow very explicit instructions for single contained goals, automators often need to draw from that tacit knowledge we talked about earlier.
Ah, the unwritten rules again.
Exactly. That unwritten expertise, the experienced judgment, the how we really do things around here knowledge, this usually resides in experienced workers' minds, and it needs to be somehow codified or learned by the agent for it to work effectively. Automators can execute entire end-to-end processes. Think order to cash or procure to pay. They orchestrate all the related subtasks involved. They manage the dependencies between those tasks. And they dynamically engage various tools, APIs, or maybe those MCP servers we mentioned, as needed throughout the process. This means they can handle more nuanced, sequential operations that span different parts of an organization, moving from automating single tasks to automating entire workflows.
Okay, so they're connecting the dots across systems, managing a larger, more intricate workflow, not just one piece, but the whole chain. What are some real-world examples of automator applications that truly demonstrate this power? Where do they shine?
Automators are where you really start to see significant process transformation, big efficiency gains. Let's look at some examples. One, in supply chain management. An automator could streamline the entire order-to-delivery workflow. Imagine it integrating the order management system, the transportation management system, TMS, maybe warehouse management, WMS, and supplier APIs, ensuring a smooth, optimized end-to-end flow of goods from the moment an order is placed right through to final delivery confirmation. Two, in healthcare. They might automate complex medical claim adjudication. This involves integrating hospital billing systems, insurance payer systems, complex regulatory databases, maybe even clinical notes, processing claims far more efficiently, reducing manual errors in intervention, and accelerating payments to providers, a huge administrative burden today. Three, for finance departments. An automator could significantly accelerate those painful month-end close processes by managing accruals, performing complex reconciliations, and preparing journal entries automatically across multiple disparate financial systems, ERP, accounting software, etc. This is typically a very time-consuming, stressful manual process for finance teams. 4. In an end-to-end order-to-cash process, an automator could automate pretty much everything, from generating and sending customer invoices accurately to reconciling incoming payments against those invoices, and even automatically sending out customized payment reminders or dunning notices to overdue accounts based on defined rules. 5. And for customer onboarding, especially in regulated industries like financial services or telecom, an automator could dynamically adapt the process. If information is missing from the customer application, it could trigger automated follow-ups. It could navigate complex compliance checks like KYSML automatically, and trigger subsequent steps like identity verification or credit checks seamlessly, guiding the entire process to completion efficiently, even with variations and exceptions.
Those examples really highlight the significant efficiency and integration gains that automators can provide. It's about streamlining entire flows. You mentioned there's a compelling case study in the report for automators that truly exemplifies this. Can you elaborate on that one? It sounded quite impactful.
Absolutely. The KPMG paper provides a fantastic, very tangible case study. It involved an online trading company that was looking to drastically streamline its procure-to-pay process, a common pain point. They partnered with KPMG and an Agentic AI platform company called EMA to tackle a significant bottleneck in that process, accruals. The challenge they faced was immense. Their existing accrual process, figuring out expenses incurred but not yet paid, historically took a staggering 10 days of effort by 3 full-time employees every single month.
10 days, 3 people, just for accruals.
10 days, 3 FTEs. It was a highly time-consuming, resource-intensive activity that tied up valuable human capital in repetitive, data-heavy work. So the solution involved implementing EMA's multi-agent system, which functions as a sophisticated automator. This system was connected directly to the company's existing enterprise tools. Specifically, it was pulling data from Coupa, their procurement system. This included all relevant invoices, purchase orders, and records of goods received, all the necessary inputs. The agentic system, the automator, was then able to create a streamlined end-to-end accrual solution. It automatically processed all this data, compared invoices to POs and goods received notes, identified any anomalies or discrepancies based on defined rules, and crucially, it escalated only those specific issues that genuinely required human reconciliation or judgment. the exceptions.
So it handled the vast majority of the routine work automatically, only calling in the humans for the tricky bits, the outliers. What was the impact? What did that 10 days and 3 people turn into?
The result was truly transformative and highly quantifiable, which is key. The company will now be able to complete an accrual process in a few hours instead of the previous 10 days that required 3 full-time employees.
Hours instead of 10 days. That's incredible.
It's a massive improvement. It demonstrates the immense power of Automators to deliver significant, measurable efficiency gains. By orchestrating complex, multi-step workflows across disparate systems and intelligently handling exceptions. And this kind of direct, measurable impact is precisely what forward-thinking approaches, like that championed by AI coach by Anil Nathu, strive to help organizations achieve. It's about pushing beyond mere augmentation to achieve full automation where it makes strategic sense, freeing up human talent. This case study is a perfect illustration of how these digital coworkers can take over complex processes and free up human talent for higher value activities like analysis, strategy, and relationship management.
That's a huge time saving, a massive productivity boost. Turning days into hours is just phenomenal. Okay, next up in the TACO framework, we have collaborators. This sounds different again. It implies even more direct and interactive partnership with humans, right? Like real teammates.
Yes, exactly. Collaborators represent a new frontier of human-AI partnership. They move beyond just automating processes in the background to actively working alongside people, interactively. They function as adaptive AI teammates, working interactively with humans to achieve multidimensional goals while dynamically responding to user feedback in evolving contexts. A quote like this. So they're not just executing predefined workflows, they're part of a dynamic dialogue. These agents are designed to integrate multiple AI capabilities. Things like machine learning for pattern recognition and prediction, natural language processing for understanding human communication, spoken or written, speech recognition, maybe even computer vision for analyzing images or video feeds. They can work fluidly with both structured and unstructured data sources to provide expertise-driven support and augmentation in real time. But what truly sets them apart from simpler agents like taskers or automators is their ability to maintain contextual awareness and long-term memory across extended complex interactions. This allows them to function as true digital colleagues, remembering past conversations, learning user preferences, understanding the bigger picture. Rather than just being passive tools responding to one-off commands, they learn and adapt based on ongoing interactions with their human counterparts. It's a relationship.
Wow, so they're not just executing tasks, they're actively participating. In a thought process, maybe a creative endeavor or strategic dialogue. Give us some vivid examples of a collaborator in action. Make this digital teammate concept tangible for us.
Okay, let's paint a picture. In product development, imagine a collaborator agent working with a product management team. It could synthesize vast amounts of user feedback coming in from various channels, social media comments, support tickets, app store reviews, survey results. It could then suggest feature prioritization based on analyzing that feedback, maybe cross-referencing it with market trends, competitor moves, and technical feasibility assessments. And then it could even help generate detailed release plans, complete with suggested timelines and resource allocation estimates. This allows product managers to move much faster, be more data-driven, and focus on the strategic why rather than the manual what. For marketing teams, picture a collaborator working with a campaign manager. It could brainstorm creative campaign ideas based on past performance data and target audience profiles. It could help refine ad copy based on specific style guides, A/B testing results, or different platform requirements. And then it could automatically schedule social media posts across the various platforms, ensuring consistent branding and optimal timing for engagement. The human marketer guides the creative direction and strategy, and the collaborator agent executes, refines, and optimizes the delivery. And in financial planning and analysis, FP&A, collaborators can work interactively alongside human analysts. They could help develop sophisticated financial scenario modeled, what if we do X? They could evaluate the underlying assumptions in those models based on historical data and external benchmarks, provide deep insights based on spotting complex patterns in historical data that humans might miss. And crucially, they can adapt to the specific analytical approach preferred by each team member, learning their preferences, their common queries, anticipating their needs. This makes them incredibly powerful partners for knowledge workers who deal with complex, ambiguous, dynamic problems. They become true thought partners.
That really does sound like a teammate, augmenting human expertise in complex domains. And finally, at the very peak of the TACO framework, the most sophisticated level, we have the orchestrators. This sounds like the ultimate in AI sophistication, truly managing entire ecosystems.
Indeed. Orchestrators are described by KPMG as an advanced class of agentic system designed to coordinate multiple agents, tools, and interdependent workflows at scale. Think of them as the intelligent control towers of the agentic world. They dynamically select from and coordinate a broad ecosystem of specialized agents and services, maybe taskers, automators, collaborators, external data feeds, APIs to achieve complex, cross-functional, and often even cross-organizational objectives. Unlike other agent types that might rely more on learned passive knowledge, orchestrators primarily rely on explicit knowledge. This means knowledge that is objective, quantifiable, often technical rules, policies, regulations, service-level agreements, things that can be clearly defined. They operate in real time, enabling dynamic resource optimization across their network of agents. They handle multi-agent choreography, task delegation based on capability or availability, and they manage that crucial inter-agent communication, often leveraging specialized protocols like the agent-to-agent A2A protocol we touched on.
A2A, that's the standard for agents talking to each other securely.
Exactly. A2A is an emerging standard designed for secure, explainable, and auditable interactions between agents themselves. Orchestrators rely heavily on this. They also handle the complex reconciliation of dependencies across intricate systems and multiple agents working in parallel. KPMG emphasizes that preparing for their adoption requires significant upfront work. Addressing the underlying technology stack, data infrastructure, and codifying robust, trusted AI protocols is absolutely essential, given their immense power and autonomy. As the most sophisticated class of current AI agents, orchestrators have the profound potential, as KPMG puts it, to truly unlock new business models, foster cross-industry ecosystems, and stimulate economic transformation at scale. This is where AI moves beyond optimizing within a company to potentially transforming entire markets and industries.
This sounds like the true future of deep AI integration, where entire business ecosystems could potentially be managed or significantly influenced by AI. Can you give some specific high-level examples of what these orchestrators could manage? What kind of massive tasks are we talking about?
Absolutely. The scope here is genuinely breathtaking. Think big. 1. In global finance. An orchestrator could manage the highly complex intercompany reconciliation processes for a large multinational corporation. This involves transactions between different legal entities in different countries, with different currencies, different accounting standards. It's a nightmare manually. The orchestrator would coordinate specialized agents for currency conversion, account matching rules, tax implication analysis, and exception reporting across all these various legal entities and geographies, automating a process that is typically a massive, error-prone manual undertaking requiring significant time and resources each month or quarter. 2. For global regulatory compliance. Imagine an orchestrator overseeing multi-jurisdictional compliance monitoring for a global bank or pharmaceutical company. It would assign specialized agents to continuously review local regulations in every country they operate in, ensure adherence to those regulations in different operating units, and automatically escalate violations or potential risks for human review and intervention, ensuring consistent global compliance in a rapidly changing regulatory landscape. 3. In the realm of multi-entity procurement optimization, an orchestrator could coordinate sourcing, negotiation, and compliance agents across dozens or even hundreds of global subsidiaries. It could potentially even interact with agents representing key suppliers or logistics partners outside the enterprise's direct control, managing highly complex, distributed procurement operations to achieve the best possible prices, terms, and risk profiles globally, optimizing spend across the entire extended enterprise. These examples illustrate how orchestrators move far beyond individual tasks or even departmental processes. They manage and optimize entire interconnected business ecosystems, often spanning organizational boundaries.
That's an incredibly comprehensive framework. Taskers, automators, collaborators, orchestrators, TACO, PAC. It really clarifies the progression. Can you just quickly summarize the key distinctions across the TACO framework again, maybe highlighting the different levels of complexity, their primary use, planning capabilities, the main value propositions, and the kind of knowledge or tools they need, including that Model Context Protocol, MCP.
Certainly. Let's quickly recap the progression using the KPMG TACO Framework overview table as a guide. It shows a clear ladder of sophistication and impact. Taskers, complexity, low. Primary use, executing singular goals, repetitive tasks. Basic automation, planning, simple. Execute deterministic logic based on explicit goal instructions. Follow the recipe. Value prop, free up human workforce for higher value tasks. Immediate efficiency gains on routine work. Knowledge tools, need explicit goal instructions, standard API connectors. Automators, complexity, low to medium, primary use. Automating goals spanning multiple systems processes. End-to-end workflow automation. Planning, basic. Handle sub-goals, deterministic logic across the sequence. Connect the steps. Value prop, Increased efficiency, foster innovation by rethinking workflows, significantly reduce cycle times, process transformation, knowledge tools, need complex cross-application goal instructions, robust enterprise API connectors, maybe some codified passive knowledge, collaborators, complexity, medium to high, primary use, deep human-AI partnerships, interactive teamwork, planning, intermediate. Adaptive, contextual, respond dynamically to human feedback in evolving situations. Learn and adapt. Value prop, enhance workforce creativity and innovation. Act as a human multiplier effect. Make knowledge workers much more productive and capable. Knowledge tools. Need curated data, domain expertise, often codified. Advanced connectors, NLP, vision, etc. Maintain context memory. Orchestrators. Complexity, high. The peak, primary use. Multi-agent coordination across ecosystems, sometimes beyond the enterprise. Control tower, planning. Sophisticated. Contingency planning, dynamic resource optimization across multiple agents, dependency management, strategic coordination, value prop, drive new revenue streams, foster new cross-industry ecosystems, stimulate economic transformation at scale, market disruption, knowledge tools, need comprehensive knowledge bases, complex policies, rules, sophisticated connector ecosystems, A2A, MCP, robust governance. And it's really crucial to remember, as KPMG points out, that each TACO agent, whether it's a simple tasker or a complex orchestrator, is inherently a multi-agent system at some level. They are typically composed of several coordinated agents and sub-agents working together under the hood to achieve that stated goal. They aren't usually single monolithic blocks of code, so all TACO agents involve some level of orchestration or coordination internally, even if the scale and complexity vary dramatically across the types. And that model context protocol, MCP, plays an increasingly sophisticated role as you move up the stack. It enables that dynamic beta access and integration as complexity grows, allowing agents to pull in precisely the context they need, exactly when they need it, without requiring extensive custom coding for every scenario. This modularity, this ability to dynamically access context, is absolutely key to building scalable and adaptable agentic systems.
Okay, this TACO framework provides a great map, but the journey itself requires preparation. This truly underscores the urgency we mentioned right at the top of the show. It's moving fast. KPMG states, quite starkly actually, that winners and losers could be determined in 12 to 36 months. 12 to 36 months. That's not long at all in business terms. This isn't a future problem to think about later. It's a present imperative that demands immediate strategic attention. Now, it's absolutely critical, as they say, to start the journey now, given this incredible pace of change.
That urgency is not an exaggeration, not hyperbole. The paper highlights that while agentic AI is moving incredibly fast and promises immense disruption, it's still very early days for broad-scale deployment across most industries. However, the companies that act first, that build these foundational capabilities now, stand to gain significant compounding advantages. First-mover advantage is huge here. They could potentially create entirely new market dynamics in their favor. As the physicist Niels Bohr famously said, prediction is very difficult, especially if it's about the future. It's true. But KPMG is willing to bet, based on their research, that agentic AI will both force and enable organizations to be more strategically agile than ever before. Think about it. Barriers to entry are falling rapidly in many industries as labor becomes digital and easily scalable, and knowledge becomes more freely accessible through models. Yet, at the same time, new digital moats are appearing. Things like access to large, high-quality proprietary data sets and access to affordable, massive computational power. To compete effectively in this new landscape, many organizations will need to fundamentally rethink their entire business operating model, not just tweak it. And KPMG identifies 4 key foundational issues, 4 pillars that organizations must address now to prepare for and successfully navigate this agentic AI journey. You can't skip these.
Okay, 4 foundation pillars. Let's dive into that first one, strategy. This isn't just about, updating slide 10 of the existing business plan, is it? It sounds like a much deeper, more fundamental reevaluation is needed.
Not at all just tweaking. It's a profound strategic imperative that needs C-suite ownership. First, KPMG advises organizations to review their enterprise strategy with much greater frequency. Forget the traditional annual offsite strategy meeting. That cadence is too slow now. The unprecedented speed and uncertainty surrounding agentic AI demand a more frequent, more agile review cycle. Maybe quarterly, maybe even more often for key assumptions. They strongly recommend using scenario building to inform these strategic choices. Active scenario planning. And this scenario work should include at least 3 key components. 1, first, Quantify the value opportunity at stake for your current business model. Where can agents optimize existing processes? What new efficiencies can be gained right now? What's the low-hanging fruit? Second, rigorously assess the risk of competitors disrupting your organization with their agentic AI deployments. Where are you vulnerable? What competitive threats are emerging on the horizon? Be paranoid. And third, actively consider opportunities for your organization to become the disruptor using these new capabilities. How can you create entirely new products, services, customer experiences, or even enter completely new market segments leveraging agents? Where can you go on offense? And critically, this strategic review shouldn't just look internally at your own operations. It has to consider the broader ecosystem impact. How are your customers adopting agents? Your suppliers? Your competitors? The entire value chain is likely to be affected, and you need that wider perspective. Beyond just reviewing the overall strategy, organizations need to specifically shape their agent strategy. This needs to happen in conjunction with and parallel to their broader generative AI adoption journey. They're related but distinct. This involves making a deliberate, conscious decision on your organization's level of urgency and ambition. Do you want to be an early adopter, leading the charge, taking risks for high rewards, or a fast follower, learning from the pioneers, leveraging proven paths with lower risk? Or perhaps an active monitor, watching closely, learning from others before making significant commitments. There's no single right answer, but you must choose. Once that strategic stance is clear, you must pinpoint the highest value areas for your initial agent deployments within the organization. Where do you start? Is it a specific function like finance? A critical cross-functional workflow like customer service? A particular type of repetitive task across many areas? These analyses require a detailed quantification of the incremental value agents can unlock in those areas, a thorough assessment of the incremental risks involved, operational, reputational, financial, and a clear, honest understanding of your organization's agent readiness from both a technology perspective, data, infrastructure, and equally importantly, a people perspective, skills, culture. Finally, under strategy, organizations must proactively evolve their partner ecosystem. This is critical. As agents move AI from the periphery right into the very core operations of the enterprise, your reliance on technology providers, specialized AI vendors, data partners, integrators, it will increase dramatically. The choice of partners you make, and maybe more importantly, your strategic importance to them, could materially impact your speed to market and your competitive agility. Are you a priority client for them? Strategic partnerships with leading AI-centric companies spanning both the Big Tech giants with their massive platforms and foundational models, and also nimble, innovative startups with niche expertise will be absolutely critical. And these partners are already in high demand. It's also crucial not to overlook potentially new and smaller partners. Sometimes they can bring a unique competitive edge within a specific function, industry vertical, or a niche area of agentic capability. Don't just go with the usual suspects. This proactive, dynamic, and agile approach to strategy formulation and partnership management is absolutely key to navigating the rapid, disruptive changes agentic AI will inevitably bring.
That makes perfect sense. Strategy isn't static anymore. It needs to be dynamic, ecosystem aware, and partnership driven. A fundamentally different mindset. Okay, pillar number 2, the second foundational issue, and perhaps the most human-centric one. The workforce. How on earth do organizations prepare their people for such a monumental shift, especially when the very nature of work itself is changing so rapidly and profoundly?
This is truly a cornerstone of successful agentic AI adoption. It's absolutely vital. And honestly, it's where many organizations will either thrive or stumble badly. You have to get the people part right. KPMG emphasizes the critical need to codify the ways you work. What does that mean? Human activities can be broadly divided into 2 types. There's structured work, which follows standardized processes, has clear rules, predictable inputs and outputs. This is fertile ground for near-term agent potential, often aided by existing process mining tools to identify those repeatable patterns. Then there's tacit work. This involves applying judgment, creativity, intuition, experience, that nuanced know-how that often isn't written down anywhere. Now, structured work offers the quickest wins for agents. But tacit work, while much harder to automate initially, is where agentic AI may have an even larger, more transformative long-term impact. And we're already seeing several startups emerging specifically focused on capturing and operationalizing this nuanced human knowledge for AI systems. So, the more work that can be codified now, meaning systematically capturing and structuring that tacit expertise that currently resides only in your employees' minds and making it explicit, the faster and greater the impact of agentic AI will be. KPMG's AI Pulse survey highlighted this priority. 78% of respondents said they would use agentic AI to analyze complex data sets, which often requires codifying tacit analytical approaches, while 66% plan to employ agents for more routine administrative tasks, structured work. This codification, turning implicit knowledge into explicit assets, becomes an operational necessity for agent effectiveness. It's also a clear source of sustainable competitive advantage if your codified knowledge is better than your competitors.
Right, so it's about making that hidden implicit knowledge explicit, machine readable, so the AI can learn from it and act on it, essentially creating a digital brain or knowledge graph for the organization. What about driving adoption and engagement? This is where people often struggle with any new technology, let alone one that might feel like a potential replacement, a digital colleague taking over parts of their job. How do you handle that?
Indeed, this is a critical human element. Change management is key. The adoption of Gen AI tools has often been a somewhat gradual, sometimes optional process, and it's sometimes been hindered by workforce resistance, maybe fear, or that cumbersome swivel chair approach we talked about, where workers have to consciously switch context to use the AI tool, disrupting their flow. Agentic AI changes this dynamic significantly, potentially for the better in terms of adoption. By embedding AI agents directly into the unique workflows and tasks of different roles, making them part of the existing tools and processes, organizations can potentially achieve much greater adoption, acceptance, and utilization. Why? Because the AI becomes a seamless part of their existing work, not a separate destination. However, even with this potential for easier integration, some employees may still be reticent, maybe anxious, about working side by side with highly autonomous AI agents. Let's be realistic. KPMG's AI Pulse survey found that 45% of respondents noted employee resistance to change specifically regarding AI adoption. That's nearly half. Therefore, it's absolutely necessary to establish a robust, thoughtful change management program. This program needs to actively consider the impact of AI agents on team dynamics, on morale, on roles and responsibilities. And it needs to focus on fostering a culture of collaboration, curiosity, and continuous learning, not fear. The key message to communicate consistently, clearly, and authentically from leadership is that the integration of AI agents is not primarily about replacing human jobs. It is designed to enhance the capabilities of the existing workforce, to augment them, allowing them to shed the repetitive, the mundane, the low-value tasks and focus instead on more strategic, creative, engaging, and ultimately more stimulating work. It's about elevating the human role, making work better.
That communication and cultural aspect sounds critical. Framing it as an enhancement, not replacement. And what's the expected quantifiable impact on the workforce's efficiency and operational costs from this kind of profound integration? What do the studies show?
The projections are quite compelling, offering a strong business case. Harvard Business Review, for example, reports that agentic AI promises to drive a potential 30% increase in workforce efficiency and a 25% reduction in operational costs by as early as 2027. Those are significant numbers. Furthermore, a separate large study surveying over 100,000 workers across various industries found that AI tools, including agents, can reduce working times by as much as 50% for roughly a third of employees' job tasks.
Half the time spent on a third of their tasks.
Exactly. That illustrates the monumental potential for productivity gains and associated cost savings across the board. And according to KPMG's AI Pulse survey, when they asked leaders which functions would benefit most immediately from agentic AI, the top answers were information technology, 76% saw high potential, operations, 74%, risk and compliance, 56%, finance, 39%, and marketing, 35%. This indicates a very broad potential impact across many core enterprise functions, not just one or two areas.
Can you give us some more vivid examples of this future human-agent collaboration in action? Paint a picture for our listeners, make it really tangible.
Certainly. Let's imagine a few scenarios. In finance, imagine month-end close. Teams no longer need to consciously engage with a separate Gen AI system or manually pull data. Instead, Automator or Collaborator agents can automatically identify unusual transactions based on patterns, prepare draft journal entries with supporting documentation attached, and then only alert human controllers when their specific judgment is truly needed for complex, ambiguous, or high-risk decisions. This frees up highly skilled financial professionals from tedious reconciliation and data entry tasks, allowing them to focus on analysis, forecasting, and strategic financial guidance. In the consumer and retail sector, think about customer service. AI agents can serve as highly capable virtual shopping assistants available 24/7. They can provide hyper-personalized product recommendations, answer complex queries instantly, handle returns processing, track orders, all based on deep customer data and product knowledge. This level of personalization and instant service would be incredibly difficult, if not impossible, for human agents alone to scale cost-effectively. This then frees up human employees to focus on more strategic tasks like developing new customer loyalty programs, refining the overall omnichannel customer experience strategy, or handling highly sensitive or complex customer escalations that require genuine empathy and creative problem solving. And in the life sciences sector, picture AI agents collaborating directly with human researchers in drug discovery. These agents could sift through millions of scientific papers and patents, analyze vast amounts of genomic or clinical trial data to identify potential drug targets or patient cohorts, and even suggest novel hypotheses or experimental designs based on patterns invisible to the human eye. This close collaboration could significantly accelerate the pace of discovery, potentially leading to faster breakthrough treatments, particularly for rare diseases and hard-to-treat cancers that might not be possible or would take much longer with human effort alone. This really highlights the incredible human-AI synergy envisioned by platforms like AI Coach by Anil Nethu. It's about allowing for new levels of innovation, efficiency, and ultimately maximizing human potential by automating the automatable and augmenting the uniquely human.
It really sounds like the very structure of organizations themselves is poised for a dramatic transformation, creating truly fluid, hybrid teams, unlike anything we've seen before.
That's the grand vision, yes. Imagine a fluid hybrid organization. As agents join the digital workforce, they won't just be tools. They will become integral parts of the organizational structure, working alongside humans, digital colleagues. This will inevitably necessitate entirely new ways of defining reporting relationships. Who does an agent report to? Setting goals. How do you set KPIs for an agent swarm? And managing performance for both the agents and their human counterparts. How do you evaluate a hybrid team? Adding to the challenge and the opportunity is the fact that in the future, the number of digital workers could conceivably change almost instantaneously. You could scale up by hundreds of thousands within seconds to meet peak demand, then scale back down just as quickly. That kind of workforce elasticity is unprecedented. For the remaining human roles, reporting lines and performance metrics may also need to change significantly and much more frequently than they do today. The nature of work itself will evolve. KPMG draws an analogy here, suggesting the constant flux might feel like conducting a major merger integration every single year just to keep up with the shifting rules and processes. It requires immense organizational agility. Furthermore, companies that currently rely heavily on offshoring labor for cost savings may find it increasingly possible and economically attractive to reshore that work. Why? Because if it's fully automated with agents, the labor cost arbitrage disappears, and they can bring operations closer to home for better control, lower risk, or faster cycle times, potentially at a fraction of the previous cost. KPMG even provocatively suggests that it may eventually become possible to start a fully agentic business unit or even an entire new startup company with very few or perhaps even no humans involved from the outset, operating purely through coordinated digital agents managed by maybe one or two human overseers. This is a profound potential shift in organizational design and fundamental operating models.
That's a lot to consider regarding people, skills, culture, and organizational design. A huge transformation. Okay, let's move to the third foundational issue, pillar number 3, governance and trust. With agents acting autonomously, making independent decisions, potentially coordinating with other agents, this must become even more critical than it already is for AI. Exponentially more important, maybe.
It absolutely does. It's non-negotiable, and the stakes are much higher. AI agents, precisely because they operate with relative autonomy and at immense scale, inherently require more stringent controls and an even greater commitment to robust, trusted AI principles than, say, a simple predictive model or a Gen AI assistant. Why? Because when errors occur with autonomous agents, they can be amplified at a much greater scale and speed. A flawed decision or action can potentially propagate rapidly, repeating unfavorable or incorrect actions thousands or millions of times before human intervention can even detect the problem, let alone correct it. Imagine an agent's internal planner coming up with inconsistent or flawed plans. Or worse, the agent using the wrong tool or accessing incorrect data for its action taking without robust oversight and validation loops. Unlike many human errors, which are typically contained to a single instance or individual, a single flaw in agentic AI programming, its training data, or its decision-making logic can lead to widespread systemic consequences, potentially affecting numerous outcomes, customers, or processes simultaneously before the issues are even detected. KPMG is very clear. Without a significantly more robust and proactive governance program specifically tailored for agents, organizations will simply be unable to realize the full value from agentic AI safely, or they won't be able to move as quickly or confidently as competitors who do have strong governance in place. It becomes a competitive differentiator itself. This means organizations must significantly elevate security and privacy. It's table stakes, but needs rethinking for agents. Beyond the standard AI security considerations we already talked about, like transparent data usage policies, ensuring explainability of decisions where possible, general data privacy compliance, GDPR, CCPA, etc., organizations adopting agentic AI must implement regular, rigorous stress testing of their agents. They need automated detection systems for unintended bias or harmful patterns emerging in agent behavior. And they absolutely need robust fail-safe mechanisms, kill switches, human override protocols to prevent any catastrophic unintended consequences. Furthermore, implementing continuous monitoring of agent behavior in real time is essential. Detailed execution logging for audit trails, knowing exactly what an agent did, when, and why. And employing strong identity attestation for agents so every action can be traced back to a specific digital identity, ensuring accountability.
Right, so security and privacy need to be deeply baked in from the absolute start, truly part of the DNA of these systems, not bolted on later. And what about managing the potential for those unintended or harmful outputs? Bias, ethical slips, things like that?
It's paramount to actively mitigate unintended outcomes. Proactively, not reactively. Throughout any AI implementation, but particularly with autonomous agentic AI where the potential impact is magnified, organizations must actively work to mitigate potential negative impacts. KPMG stresses, and this is crucial, that these ethical and safety considerations must be integrated during every single step of the development and deployment lifecycle, not just as a final checklist item before launch or an afterthought handled by a separate committee. It needs to be embedded in the engineering culture. Establish clear ethical guidelines, responsible AI principles, and robust governance protocols early in the process. These should specifically address agent-related risks to prevent potential issues such as skewed or biased decision-making, unfair outcomes for certain groups, or the accidental perpetuation of harmful stereotypes hidden in the data or logic. This means ensuring transparency into how all AI agents are built, trained, and monitored, and ensuring that the data used to train and operate agentic AI systems is carefully curated, tested for bias, and managed to reflect fairness, accuracy, and representativeness. This is the only way to ensure that the systems are not only efficient and powerful, but also operate responsibly, ethically, and equitably. And finally, under governance, it's about how humans interact with and oversee these increasingly autonomous systems. The control mechanism. KPMG makes an important distinction here. Put humans on the loop. Now, with generative AI assistants, we often talk about having a human in the loop, meaning a human directly reviews and approves advice or content generated by AI before any action is taken. That's common for Gen AI. But KPMG argues this model is often not practical or even desirable for more autonomous agents operating at high speed and scale. Having a human approve every single action would negate much of the efficiency gain. Instead, companies need to ensure that their agentic designs incorporate human on-the-loop principles. It's a subtle but critical difference. In this on-the-loop model, humans primarily supervise and monitor the agent's actions and the overall system performance from a higher level. They do not necessarily intervene and approve every single action or decision the agent makes. Their role is to oversee the process, to set the strategy and guardrails, and crucially, to have the clear authority and the technical capability to step in to override the system if necessary. Or perhaps to pause the agent, investigate anomalies, and retrain it if its behavior starts to deviate significantly from desired outcomes or ethical boundaries. This on-the-loop approach allows for the benefits of autonomous operation at scale, while still maintaining ultimate human accountability, oversight, and control, ensuring safety, compliance, and alignment with organizational values.
That's a very clear and critical distinction, moving from constant approval in the loop to strategic oversight with intervention capabilities on the loop. That makes a lot of sense for scaling autonomy responsibly. Okay, let's move to the fourth and final foundational issue, pillar number 4, technology, data, and security. This is where the rubber meets the road for actual implementation and operational capability.
Absolutely. Strategy, workforce, and governance are essential, but without the right tech and data foundation, nothing happens. While the specific ways agents will extensively use data are still evolving rapidly, one thing is crystal clear. Companies need to ensure that their proprietary data, often their most valuable asset, is readily accessible and of sufficient quality for agents to ingest, understand, and process effectively. Garbage in, garbage out still applies, perhaps even more so with autonomous agents. As their use of agents expands and becomes more complex, organizations must also ensure that agents can interact with each other effectively and securely, as we discussed with A2A protocols. And interestingly, KPMG suggests they need to have digital identities that can potentially be managed almost like coworkers within company HR or identity management systems, extending some concepts of workforce management to the digital workforce for consistency and access control and auditing. A key aspect here, perhaps the most fundamental, is to ensure a robust data foundation. You simply cannot build powerful agents on shaky data foundations. Organizations often sit on a wealth of incredibly valuable proprietary data: customer data, operational data, transactional data, R&D data. But many are not able to access or leverage this data effectively today due to silos, legacy systems, poor data quality, lack of integration. To succeed in the agentic era, organizations will need a modern, cloud-enabled data platform, one that's scalable, flexible, and secure, and a robust data foundation built on top of it, ensuring that data is high quality, accurate, reliable, timely, and enriched with the necessary context for agents to make sense of it. Establishing robust data governance protocols around this foundation is vital. Clear rules and processes for data collection, storage, quality management, usage ethics, access control, security, and compliance with evolving regulatory requirements and data privacy standards like GDPR, ITPA, CCPA, and others. And KPMG again highlights the importance of the Model Context Protocol, or MCP, in enabling agents to dynamically access and inject relevant, up-to-date data into their reasoning processes in real time, regardless of where that data resides: internal databases, external APIs, etc. This ensures agents have the right information at the right time to make the best possible decisions, enhancing their effectiveness and relevance without constant retraining.
So data is king, as always, and its accessibility, quality, governance, and dynamic integration through things like MCP are absolutely paramount for fueling these agents. But beyond the data itself, how do organizations actually acquire these agents? Where do they come from? Do they primarily build them from scratch in-house? Do they buy off-the-shelf agent solutions? Or do they look for strategic partnerships to co-develop them? What's the recommendation?
That's the next key consideration: building your agentic supply chain. How do you source these capabilities? KPMG outlines that organizations currently have three primary options for sourcing agents, and the choice isn't always simple. It depends heavily on their specific needs, their internal resources and capabilities, their risk appetite, and their overall strategic goals, as well as the complexity of the agents they require. Tasker versus orchestrator, for example. In fact, many organizations will likely find it advantageous, perhaps even necessary, to create a multifaceted agent supply chain over time. Leveraging a strategic mix of these options: build, buy, and partner across different parts of the organization or for different types of agents. Let's break down the pros and cons of each option. First, build. Customization and control. Building AI agents in-house offers the maximum level of customization. It allows organizations to tailor agents precisely to their unique specific needs, integrate them seamlessly with existing, perhaps idiosyncratic legacy systems and processes. Crucially, the organization also retains full ownership of the intellectual property generated by the agent, which can be a significant competitive advantage. The major downside, however, is that this approach, due to its inherent complexity and the specialized talent required, demands a strong internal team, or a dedicated external team acting as internal, with deep expertise in AI, machine learning, data science, software engineering, and MLOps. It's resource intensive and can be slow. KPMG gives an example of a large financial services firm that decided to build its own custom AI tasker to automate a specific type of invoice processing. By developing it in-house, they could customize the agent meticulously to handle specific, complex financial regulations and internal accounting processes relevant only to their unique organization, something an off-the-shelf solution might struggle to accommodate fully. Second, buy. Rapid execution and efficiency. This is often the quickest and most straightforward option for getting started and achieving immediate deployment. And as mentioned, it's currently the preferred method for a majority, 67% of respondents, in a recent KPMG AI Pulse survey, likely due to speed and perceived lower initial cost. It involves acquiring pre-built AI agents or agent platforms from established vendors. These can often be deployed relatively quickly to address specific, common business needs, like customer service chatbots or basic RPA-like task agents. It's often more cost-effective initially than building from scratch and offers access to well-tested, potentially proven AI solutions with vendor support. However, it comes with significant challenges too. Off-the-shelf agents may offer limited customization options, potentially not fitting unique workflows perfectly. They could become obsolete quickly as the underlying AI technology advances rapidly. They can pose significant integration issues, especially with highly customized existing tech stacks. And crucially, organizations need to be very careful about data security and privacy standards when using third-party agents, ensuring they meet stringent requirements, especially processing sensitive data. Vendor lock-in is also a risk. Third, partner, access to advanced expertise and shared risk. This approach tries to combine some of the benefits of both building and buying. It involves collaborating strategically with external AI experts, specialized agent vendors, systems integrators, or even academic institutions to jointly develop and implement agents. This allows the organization to leverage external cutting-edge expertise and infrastructure they might lack internally, while often sharing the development risks and costs. The challenges here include potentially less direct control over the development process and IP ownership compared to building fully in-house. It can sometimes be more expensive than buying off the shelf, depending on the scope. And it introduces critical third-party risks that need careful management. Robust service-level agreements, SLAs, and contracts are absolutely essential to protect against various scenarios. What if the partner pivots their strategy or product roadmap? What if their system experiences failures or downtime impacting your operations? What if they feed incorrect data to the agent? Or worst case, what if they suffer a data breach involving your sensitive information being processed by the agent? Diligence and contractual protections are paramount when partnering. So, when evaluating these build, buy, or partner options, organizations should ask themselves some hard questions. Do we realistically have sufficient in-house AML expertise, or can we acquire it quickly? Do we truly need highly tailored, unique agents for our core competitive differentiation, or are standard solutions good enough for certain areas? How fast do we really need to deploy these capabilities? Does the chosen path align with our long-term strategic goals and desired level of control? And critically, what's our sustainable operating model going to be for the ongoing upkeep, maintenance, monitoring, and retraining of these agents, regardless of how we acquire them initially? This is a key strategic decision set, and one where the kind of objective guidance offered by approaches like AI Coach by Enel Nathu can be invaluable in making informed choices tailored to your specific context.
It's definitely a complex strategic choice with many variables and trade-offs to weigh, not a simple decision. What about how these agents talk to each other, especially as organizations deploy more of them and they become more sophisticated like collaborators or orchestrators? You mentioned A2A protocols and MCP enabling that. How important is standardization there?
Yes, that leads directly to the next critical technology piece: enabling consistent agent-to-agent interoperability. This becomes increasingly vital as you scale beyond isolated agents. For agents to truly achieve complex, multi-step goals, coordinate effectively, and operate reliably in those swarms we discussed, their communication needs to move beyond fragile, custom-built point-to-point integrations or, even worse, manual handoffs between systems or agents. That just doesn't scale and is prone to breaking. Organizations can and should look to adopt emerging A2A standards. KPMG specifically mentions the protocol being developed by Google as an example, though others may emerge. These standards provide a standardized framework, a common language for secure, explainable, and auditable agent interactions. A2A supports essential functions like standardized message passing formats, protocols for intent negotiation, here's what I need you to do, structured collaboration mechanisms between agents, and defined ways to enable complex use cases like multi-agent task orchestration, like an orchestrator directing taskers, or agent chaining, where one agent's output automatically becomes the input for the next agent in a sequence, and dynamic role assignment within a digital team. Adopting these kinds of interoperability standards ensures that enterprise agents remain modular, composable, and more future-proof. It helps avoid vendor lock-in to proprietary communication methods and prevents duplicated effort in building custom connectors over and over again. It fosters an open ecosystem. And KPMG also elaborates further on that Model Context Protocol, or MCP, which is becoming a key enabler alongside A2A. Think about how most large AI models work today. What they know is primarily baked in during their massive pre-training phase, often with a data cutoff date months or even years in the past. This means they're only as current or contextually aware as their last training run, which is a major limitation for real-world applications needing up-to-date information. MCP is a concurrent effort being developed by industry players to allow agents and other AI applications to communicate effectively across organizational boundaries while also continuously connecting with external information sources and tools in real time, dynamically pulling in fresh context. It aims to establish standards and potentially a platform that eliminates the need for extensive, bespoke, custom integrations for every single data source or API an agent needs to access. The core components of MCP, as envisioned, include the MCP client, the AI application, like an agent that needs external data, The MCP server programs or APIs that expose specific capabilities or data from external sources in a standardized way, and the MCP transport, the secure communication layer connecting clients and servers. Ultimately, this protocol, if widely adopted, will allow for the creation of smaller, more targeted, more efficient, and more specialized AI systems like agents that can interact seamlessly. They can dynamically pull in precisely the relevant context they need at the moment they need it, without requiring constant, costly fine-tuning or massive retraining every time the world changes or new data becomes available. It's about making AI more adaptable and contextually intelligent on the fly.
That sounds like it will be absolutely essential, especially for those high-end orchestrators, enabling them to truly coordinate vast networks of specialized agents using real-time information. A critical piece of the puzzle. Finally, still on the technology side, what about the security of these individual agents themselves? As they become more autonomous and handle sensitive data or processes, how do you ensure they don't go rogue, get compromised, or misused?
Critically important question. Organizations must strengthen agent identity and security. This goes beyond general cybersecurity. Each individual agent, especially those with significant autonomy or access, must have a unique, verifiable digital identity. This identity needs to be associated with carefully scoped permissions and credentials, granting access only to the specific data, systems, and tools required for its designated tasks. Principle of least privilege applied to agents. And just like human employees, these identities and permissions need continuous oversight, monitoring, and periodic recertification. Equally essential is implementing runtime isolation, sometimes called containment or sandboxing. This means ensuring agents operate in segmented, controlled environments. If an agent is compromised or starts behaving anomalously, the damage can be contained within that segment, preventing wider system compromise or data exfiltration. Furthermore, every significant action taken by an agent must be meticulously logged, auditable, potentially revocable if needed, and clearly attributable back to a specific agent identity. This provides a clear, immutable trail for monitoring, incident investigation, and demonstrating compliance. Accountability is key. Organizations must also proactively identify and mitigate emerging security threats that are specific to autonomous agentic systems. The threat landscape is evolving here. Things like memory poisoning, where an attacker subtly corrupts an agent's internal memory or understanding over time to influence its future decisions. Or agent hijacking, where an attacker seizes direct control of the agent's actions. Or identity spoofing, where a malicious actor impersonates a legitimate agent. Remedies for these kinds of threats include implementing robust execution logging, strong identity attestation mechanisms like cryptographic signatures for agent actions, runtime containment environments, and sophisticated real-time monitoring systems designed to detect anomalous agent behavior. This ensures agent behavior remains secure, explainable where possible, and compliant with policies. This level of specialized security aligns with emerging industry best practices, like those outlined in the OSP Top 10 for LLM applications and agentic systems, which specifically calls out risks like prompt injection, insecure output handling, and agent-specific vulnerabilities. This is a highly specialized area that requires deep security expertise and continuous vigilance as the threats evolve alongside the capabilities.
Wow, that's a lot to consider in terms of laying the proper groundwork. It's abundantly clear these four foundational pillars, strategy, workforce, governance, and technology data security, are absolutely essential for success. You can't build a strong house on a weak foundation. Now, let's bring it all together for our listeners. After absorbing all this insight, what are the concrete, practical next steps you can take to move forward on this agentic AI journey within your organization? KPMG points out, interestingly, that 88% of U.S. companies haven't actively deployed agents into production yet. So despite the hype and the speed, there's still ample opportunity to get ahead, to build advantage. You're not necessarily behind if you start now. The focus, as KPMG puts it, needs to be on moving rapidly, effectively, and securely. All three are crucial.
Precisely. It's about smart, focused action, not panicked reaction. KPMG outlines 6 practical, actionable steps to help organizations accelerate agent adoption effectively and safely. The first step is to articulate the vision. You have to know where you're going. This means developing a clear, compelling, and shared strategy specifically for agentic AI integration within your overall business strategy. Articulating clearly how you believe agentic AI will fundamentally transform parts of your business, or maybe the whole thing. Defining the desired outcomes you're aiming for: cost reduction, revenue growth, customer satisfaction, innovation speed. Setting key, measurable business goals to pursue with agents. And crucially, deciding how you plan to start building or acquiring your initial agent supply, that build by partner decision for the first wave. It's also about identifying those specific areas within the business where agents can address your most pressing pain points or unlock the most significant value early on. Is it streamlining routine back office tasks, optimizing complex operational workflows, enhancing frontline customer interactions? Be specific. A compelling shared vision, communicated clearly and consistently from the top leadership down, is absolutely essential to align the entire organization, secure resources, and build the necessary momentum for change. The second step, once the vision is clear, is to start agentic pilots. Don't try to boil the ocean. The aim here is to achieve early, demonstrable wins, quick successes. These wins are crucial to build executive buy-in and confidence, prove the concept within your specific context, generate positive momentum, and importantly, facilitate rapid learning within the organization. Fail fast, learn faster. KPMG suggests 3 effective approaches for structuring these initial pilot projects. 1. Focus on hotspots. These are typically areas where the organization has previously conducted successful Gen AI pilots, especially those that showed high user engagement and clear value. These areas are likely to have the highest potential for immediate quantifiable value creation from agents. Plus, they probably have more mature AI infrastructure and personnel who are already familiar and comfortable with AI technologies, making adoption easier. 2. Go deep into a function. This involves embedding AI agents extensively, but within a single, specific, often highly repetitive, and relatively low-risk function first. Good examples might be certain processes within finance, like the accruals case study, HR operations, like benefits administration, or maybe IT help desk support. The success and detailed learnings gathered in this contained function can then serve as a scalable model, a blueprint, to apply agentic AI more broadly to other functions across the organization later. Prove it once, then replicate. 3. Broad utilization across a value stream. Here you identify a critical cross-functional value stream that is absolutely central to your business operations, for instance, the entire end-to-end order-to-cash process, or the new product development lifecycle from idea to launch. Then you implement AI agents strategically at multiple key points throughout this end-to-end process. This approach is more ambitious, but powerfully demonstrates the potential of agentic AI to connect disparate parts of the business, break down silos, and optimize the entire flow of value. Each of these 3 approaches offers a viable pathway to demonstrating tangible value quickly and building essential internal expertise and confidence. Choose the one that best fits your culture and immediate goals.
That gives some really clear options for getting started, for taking that first step with pilots. Focus on hotspots, go deep in one function, or go broad across a value stream. What's next? After those initial pilots prove successful and you've learned from them,
The third step is then to prepare to scale agents within key functions and/or workflows. You move from pilot to production and then to scale. Once those initial pilots prove successful, demonstrate clear ROI and provide valuable learnings. Organizations need to leverage those insights strategically. Use the KPMG TACO Framework we discussed earlier to help identify the appropriate types of agents, tasker, automator, etc., needed for broader deployment, and identify the next set of departments, processes, or value streams where they can be applied for maximum impact, building on the pilot successes. The goal here is to develop a comprehensive, thoughtful plan to scale up from those individual, often isolated pilots, towards an integrated, enterprise-wide agentic AI strategy. This strategy should envision multiple agent types working in tandem, potentially orchestrated together, to achieve larger, more complex, and more integrated business objectives across the organization. This is where the truly systemic, transformative impact materializes. Fourth, and running in parallel with scaling, it's absolutely essential to evolve your trusted AI governance playbook for agents. Governance can't be an afterthought to scaling. This involves proactively expanding and adapting your existing AI governance programs and policies. You likely have some governance for predictive models or Gen AI already, but you need to specifically update it to account for the unique characteristics of agentic AI, particularly their increased autonomy, their potential for direct action taking, and their operation at scale. This also means proactively anticipating and preparing for evolving legal, regulatory, and ethical considerations specific to autonomous agents. The rules here are still being written. A critical component of effective agent governance, KPMG recommends, is creating a living catalog or inventory of all AI agents deployed within the organization. This catalog should meticulously track each agent's purpose, its owners, its key dependencies on data systems, other agents, its performance metrics, its version history, and its governance status. This provides essential visibility and control for effective scaling and ongoing risk management. Additionally, organizations must develop robust operational processes specifically for managing and maintaining AI agents over their entire life cycle. This includes continuous monitoring systems, defining clear performance and health metrics, establishing protocols for updates and retraining, and creating feedback loops for continuous improvement of the agents themselves based on performance data and user input.
Right, so it's about ensuring these agents are not just deployed initially, but responsibly governed, monitored, and effectively managed throughout their entire life cycle. Critical for long-term success and trust. What about evaluating their trustworthiness and effectiveness on an ongoing basis? How do you measure if they're actually working well and safely?
That leads directly to the fifth step, which is closely related to governance. Implement trusted AI evaluations specific to AI agents. Rigorous testing and evaluation are key. This calls for a systematic, ongoing evaluation and reporting approach throughout the agent's lifecycle, from development through deployment and into retirement. KPMG recommends using artifacts like AI system cards. These serve as comprehensive, standardized documentation on how a specific agent technology is used. Think of them like a detailed spec sheet, plus a user manual, plus a safety report, all rolled into one. These cards should act as single, authoritative sources for evaluation results, detailing an agent's intended use case, the data it uses and how, its underlying AI components and architecture, its known limitations and potential risks, and its performance against defined metrics and ethical principles. Transparency is key. Furthermore, before launching any significantly autonomous agentic AI system into production, organizations should conduct thorough, multifaceted testing that goes beyond standard functional testing. KPMG highlights the increasing importance of using purple teams. This is a collaborative approach combining red teams, who conduct rigorous offensive testing, simulating potential attacks, trying to break the agent or make it misbehave, with blue teams, who focus on defensive evaluation, identifying vulnerabilities, and strengthening controls. The purple team approach ensures a holistic assessment of the agent's security, resilience, and safety before it impacts real operations or customers. The inputs and findings from these comprehensive testing and evaluation processes ultimately inform a quantifiable trust score or risk assessment for each agent. This score reflects the AI system's adherence to the organization's established AI principles, ethical guidelines, and operational safety standards, providing a basis for deployment decisions and ongoing monitoring priorities. And finally, the sixth practical step is to establish agentic talent performance metrics. You need to measure the impact. This starts right back in the pilot phase. Put clear metrics in place to evaluate the impact of those initial pilot projects, not just technical metrics, but business outcome metrics. Also, establish robust mechanisms for gathering both quantitative and qualitative feedback and learnings from all stakeholders involved during the pilot phase: the users, the developers, the process owners, maybe even customers if applicable. Beyond the pilots, as you scale, organizations must continuously measure and optimize the performance of all deployed AI agents. Performance management for your digital workforce. This means developing clear, relevant performance metrics to evaluate their ongoing effectiveness. This could include quantifiable measures like error rates, processing times, or throughput, output quality scores, impact on customer satisfaction, CSE scores, or contribution to employee productivity gains. Track what matters. The data and feedback gathered through this continuous monitoring should then be used systematically to improve agent performance over time. This might involve refining algorithms, updating or augmenting training data, tuning parameters, implementing new features or capabilities, or even retiring underperforming agents. It's a continuous improvement cycle. It's also important to note, as KPMG points out, that AI agents themselves can often be designed to implement their own internal telemetry. They can monitor their own compliance with defined service level agreements, SLAs, track their own system health and resource consumption, monitor the performance of the tools they rely on, and even detect anomalies in their own operation or inputs. This provides a degree of self-monitoring and potentially even self-correction capabilities, allowing for more proactive maintenance and performance management. KPMG's closing thought in the paper really resonates deeply, and it's a powerful call to action. They say regarding agentic AI, this is only the beginning of the beginning. The potential for this technology to redefine business at every single level, operational, strategic, cultural, is truly immense, and it's unfolding incredibly rapidly. By laying the groundwork today, by investing thoughtfully in those four foundational pillars — strategy, workforce, governance, and technology — organizations will be incredibly well positioned not just to cope with this change, but to thrive. They can supercharge not only their operations, but also their entire businesses, achieving unprecedented levels of efficiency, innovation, agility, and ultimately strategic advantage in the years to come. This is the next frontier of value creation, and the time to prepare is now.
Okay, that's a fantastic overview of the landscape and KPMG's practical advice. It's clear this is happening fast, and the potential is enormous. So after this deep dive into KPMG's insights, the big question for everyone listening is, what's your action plan? How do you start? Drawing from all these crucial learnings, let's try to outline a phased framework, a concrete plan for how you can start to implement these key insights within your own organization. Guided, perhaps, by the kind of forward-thinking strategic approach that platforms like AI Coach by Anil Nathu advocate for. This isn't just theory anymore. This is a potential roadmap to getting started right now, moving from understanding to tangible action.
Absolutely. Let's outline a practical, phased action plan to put these powerful insights into practice. This is about moving from understanding to execution, step by step.
Strategize and envision. Focus. First 4 weeks. Action 1. Conduct an internal Agentic AI readiness assessment. Don't guess where you stand. Use KPMG's insights and the 4 foundational pillars as your guide. Conduct a thorough, honest evaluation of your organization's current state across strategy. How agile is our planning? Hold. Workforce. Do we have the skills, the right culture? And governance. Are our AI policies ready for autonomy? And Deneving. And technology data. Is our infrastructure prepared? Is our data accessible and high quality? Identify your specific strengths to leverage, but more importantly, your critical weaknesses and the key areas that require immediate improvement or investment to even support initial agentic AI pilots effectively. Be realistic. Action 2. Facilitate urgent leadership workshops. Move beyond those traditional slow annual strategy meetings. They are simply too infrequent for this pace of change. Convene leadership now. Challenge your current corporate strategies head-on in light of agentic AI's potential. Actively use scenario building following KPMG's suggestions. 1. Quantify the value opportunities for your business. 2. Assess the disruption risks from competitors using agents. 3. Brainstorm disruption opportunities for your organization to leverage agents offensively. And crucially, as a united leadership team, make a deliberate, explicit decision. Will your organization aim to be an early adopter, a fast follower, or an active monitor in the rapidly evolving agentic AI landscape? This shared vision and strategic posture, agreed upon at the highest level, is absolutely non-negotiable for focused action.
Pilot and learn. Focus. Months 1 and 3. Action 1. Identify and launch a low-risk, high-value, hotspot pilot project. Don't try to do everything at once. Pick one thing. Focus on an area with a clear business problem and a quantifiable outcome you can measure. Leverage KPMG's Start Agentic Pilots guidance. Maybe it's a hotspot with prior Gen AI success. Maybe you go deep in a specific repetitive function like finance, perhaps tackling that accrual management process similar to the EMA case study we discussed. Or maybe you pick a narrow slice of a critical value stream. The goal is rapid learning, demonstrating tangible value quickly, even if small, and building internal confidence. Get a win on the board. Action 2. Establish initial, clear performance metrics. You need to measure success. Define metrics for the pilot that cover both human and agent collaboration. For example, are you seeing efficiency gains, reductions in manual errors, improvements in task completion time or quality? Also, track metrics specific to the agent itself, its operational uptime, its error rates, its processing times, its resource utilization. And very importantly, actively gather qualitative feedback from the pilot team members, the humans involved, to understand their experience, the challenges they faced, ways to refine the agent or the process, and potential opportunities for broader application based on their frontline insights.
Govern and prepare workforce. Focus. Months 2 to 6, running parallel. Action 1. Begin evolving your trusted AI governance playbook immediately. Don't wait until you scale. Start now. Prioritize enhancing your existing security policies, privacy protocols, and responsible operating guidelines to specifically account for the increased autonomy and potential risks of agentic AI. Start by considering the creation of that living catalog of your initial pilot agents, meticulously documenting their purpose, data inputs, intended actions, limitations, owners, and oversight mechanisms right from the start. This proactive governance builds trust, manages risk effectively, and prepares you for future audits and compliance demands. Action 2. Initiate robust internal communications and targeted training programs. Prepare your people. It's vital to frame AI agent integration positively as a capability enhancement for the existing workforce, designed to make their jobs better, more interesting, less tedious, not as a threat to their jobs. Foster a culture of psychological safety where employees feel comfortable raising concerns or experimenting. Encourage continuous learning and human-AI collaboration. This aligns directly with KPMG's advice to change the way you change, perhaps emphasizing peer-to-peer learning, showcasing early successes and ensuring visible role modeling and support from leadership to overcome resistance.
Scale and sustain. Focus. Month 6+. Action 1. Develop a comprehensive scaling plan for successful pilots. Once pilots show promise, plan the expansion. Guide this plan using the KPMG TACO Framework to help you select the appropriate agent types, taskers, automators, etc., for the next set of use cases. Strategically integrate them into broader workflows or functions across the enterprise, moving systematically from individual point solutions towards a truly integrated, agent-powered future state. This involves creating a roadmap for expanding capabilities and impact over time. Action 2. Implement continuous monitoring and optimization processes. Agents aren't set and forget. Establish formal processes for the ongoing monitoring of all deployed agents. Implement those formal AI system evaluations using tools like AI system cards for documentation and transparency. Consider employing Purple Team testing periodically for robust assessment of agents both before major updates and during production, ensuring they continue to operate securely, reliably, ethically, and as intended over time. Feed the performance data back into an improvement cycle. Action 3. Continuously review and adapt your agent acquisition strategy. Revisit that build versus buy versus partner decision regularly. As your organization's needs evolve, as your internal capabilities mature, and as agent complexity increases, your optimal sourcing strategy might change. Be flexible. Simultaneously, ensure you are continuously investing in and maintaining a robust, modern, cloud-enabled data foundation. This is essential to support not just current agent deployments, but also future growth, enabling seamless data access and providing the high-quality inputs needed for ever more capable and context-aware agents down the line. The foundation enables the future.
That's an excellent, actionable plan. Phases to strategize, pilot, govern, and scale. It makes the journey feel much more manageable. We've truly seen today that agentic AI isn't just some incremental improvement in technology. It feels much bigger than that. It's really about fundamentally reshaping how work gets done, how decisions are made, potentially how entire industries operate, and ultimately how value is delivered. This deep dive, thanks to KPMG's insights, has revealed a potential path to unprecedented productivity, innovation, and strategic advantage. A path that leading organizations, as we've heard, are already starting to forge right now.
Absolutely. And as we look out towards the future, maybe peering just over the horizon based on these trends, it raises a truly profound, perhaps even slightly unsettling question for all of us to ponder. As these AI agents become increasingly autonomous, increasingly capable, and increasingly collaborative, not just with humans, but with each other in those swarms, what entirely new forms of organizational structures might emerge? Structures we can barely conceive of today. What truly innovative, maybe previously impossible business models might become viable? Or even what entirely new human roles might be created? Roles focused on managing agent ecosystems, designing agent goals, ensuring ethical alignment, or fostering human-agent creative synergy. Roles that don't exist yet. How will this relentless advance of agentic capability ultimately redefine what it truly means to be an intelligent enterprise in the 21st century? An enterprise where human ingenuity and digital autonomy work together seamlessly to achieve previously unthinkable outcomes? The possibilities, both exciting and challenging, seem almost boundless right now.
Powerful questions indeed. Food for thought for you, our listeners, to consider. How might these trends apply to your own professional journeys, your teams, and your organizations as you navigate this truly transformative era? Thank you for joining us today for this deep dive. Visit the AI Coach website for more AI insights and resources.